class of quality assurance, and this subject is in B Pharm 6th semester. The code of this subject is BP606T, and we are going to discuss another very important topic that is given in the unit 5 of this B Pharm 6th semester syllabus, that is of quality assurance, and the today's topic is good warehousing practices. And I am Dr. Alankar Srivastav, Associate Professor in Kite Group of Institution. So, let us start without wasting our time. Now, the losses associated with the temperature lapses in the pharmaceutical supply chain are estimated at $320 billion. Globally, a number larger than the combined market valuation of the Visa, Intel and Walmart. So, this is a report that is published in, as you can see, I have already given the reference. So, now you can easily understand this is a huge loss, that is more than that is about $320 billion, and which is the overall more than the overall market value of these companies, they are Walmart, Visa and Intel combined market value. That means, we are actually facing a huge loss by not keeping our pharmaceutical products in a proper way. Now, plainly, reliable supply chains are critically important for the profitability of the pharmaceutical industry and for the safety of customers. You can easily understand, if the drug is not stored in a proper manner, that may degrade also, and that means that may also be unsafe for given to the patients. So, the storage of the pharmaceutical products are really critically important in the pharmaceutical industries. Now, proper warehousing, that means storing supplies so that products are always available. The pharmaceutical products should always be available and it should be accessible enough and are in good conditions. So, these all are the basic motives that for the regarding the storage of any pharmaceutical product. And for this reason, good warehousing practices in the pharmaceutical industry are imperative. There should be a clearly defined procedures and responsibilities key to ensuring that biologics, drugs and other pharmaceuticals arrive ready to be used. So, ensuring these good warehousing practices should be established in the case of pharmaceutical products. Now, what is the principle of good storage practices? Now, according to WHO, good storage practices, that is GSP or good warehousing practices, are applicable in all circumstances where pharmaceutical products are stored and throughout the distribution process. So, there is a clear guideline by the WHO. Now, these good warehousing practices enables the fastest and cheapest transport of the drugs and medical equipments from supplier to the beneficiaries. Now, according to CGMP, that is current good manufacturing practices guidelines, drug must be stored to prevent the contamination and be positioned to allow for inspection and cleaning of the area. Now, the next thing regarding the personnel, there should be an adequate number of the qualified personnel to achieve the pharmaceutical quality assurance objectives. The national regulations of the qualification should be followed. There should be a qualified person to handle the storage or warehousing of the pharmaceutical products, and all personnel should receive proper training in relation to the good storage practice, regulations, procedures and safety. All members of staff should be trained in and observe high levels of personal hygiene and sanitation. The personnel employed in storage area should wear suitable protective or working garments appropriate for the activities they perform. These all are the things that are required, because if the personnel are not hired properly or not recruited properly, or they are not qualified, or they are not wear their garments properly, there may be a probability that the products get contaminated, or there may be a chance of mix-ups, or there may be a chance of cross contamination. So, in this these all the things should be ensured regarding the personnels. Second thing is the premises and facilities, out of which the first thing is related to the storage area. Now, precautions must be taken to prevent the unauthorized persons from entering storage areas. If any unauthorized person is entering into the storage area, that means this may create some problem in the form of a contamination, or there may be a mix-ups, accidental mix-ups may be there, and again the overall supply chain may be disturbed. So, the precautions must be taken to prevent any unauthorized access entering the storage areas. Storage area should be of a sufficient capacity to allow the orderly storage of the various categories of the material and products, namely starting and packaging material. There may be intermediates, there may be a bulk and finished products, there may be some products which are in quarantine, and released, rejected, returned or recalled products. There should be a sufficient storage area for all these different types of categories of products. There should be a sufficient escape to avoid any kind of mix-ups between these different categories of products. Then materials and pharmaceutical products should be stored off the floor and suitably spaced to permit the cleaning and inspection. The next thing is the storage area should be clean and free from accumulated waste and vermin. A written sanitation program should be available all time, indicating the frequency of cleaning and the methods to be used to clean the premises and storage areas. Similar case of the pest control and chemicals used should be safe and should be of no risk of contamination. So, cleanliness is also one of the very serious issue, obviously, and there should be the chemicals or whatever the things which we are using for the cleaning or sanitation purpose, we should use such chemicals that should be safe enough, and there should not be any risk of any contamination. The next thing is the receiving and the dispatch base should protect the material and products from the weather. So, suppose the warehouse is receiving material from outside and there may be some impact of the weather there, for example rainfall. So, in this case your whole product becomes contaminated or it is of no use. So, whatever be the receiving and dispatch bay areas is there in the warehouse, that should be protected from the weather. Reception areas should be designed and equipped to allow the containers of incoming material and pharmaceutical products to be cleaned if necessary before storage. Now, where quarantine status is ensured by storage in separate areas, these areas must be clearly marked and their access restricted to authorized person only. So, wherever the quarantine status is ensured, there may be some product which is having this status. So, in this kind of material should be separated by the other material, and these areas must be clearly marked, and these areas should be restricted for the authorized person only. Otherwise, again the quarantine material may be mixed with the other material that may be going to stored in a different products, or that may be going to dispatched. So, any system replacing the physical quarantine should provide the equivalent security also. For example, the computerized system can be used provided that they are validated to demonstrate the security of the SS. So, suppose if we are using the computerized system, that means these all computers should be validated before the actual uses. The validation of this computer system should be ensured, so that there should not be a chance of any problem that is associated with the programming of computers while storing this kind of products. And there should be normally be a separated sampling area for starting materials in a controlled environment. If sampling is performed in the storage area, it should be conducted in such a way as to prevent the contamination or cross contamination. Adequate cleaning procedures should be in place for the sampling areas. So, now you can easily understand there should be a separate sampling area for the starting material. So, what we are doing in the warehouse, whenever any new material comes, the starting materials are we are actually performing the sampling of the starting materials, and these all samples are then tested in the QC labs in order to ensuring the quality of the starting materials. So, if this area is easily accessible by any unauthorized person, or it is not controlled in a proper way, there may be a chance of the contamination, and again there may be a false negative report. That means the material is of a sufficient quality, but your QC lab will reject this. So, these all are the things should also be ensured. Physical or other equivalent validated, for example, electronic segregation should be provided for the storage of rejected, expired, recalled or returned material or products. The material or products and areas concerned should be appropriately identified. So, there may be a proper segregation, better it should be separated by using any electronic procedures, so that there may be no chance of the mixes among these products. The material or products and area concerned should be appropriately identified. Then highly active and radioactive materials, narcotics and other hazardous, sensitive or dangerous materials and pharmaceutical products, as well as the substances presenting spatial risk of abuse, fire or explosion. For example, combustible liquid and solids and pressurized gases should be stored in a dedicated area that is subject to appropriate additional safety and security. So, there may be a usage of radioisotopes also. There may be a few pharmaceutical products which may explode also if they found a suitable condition. So, in this case these all things should be performed. There should not be any mix ups, there should not be any chance of accidental contamination should be there, and these all things are preserved in a very spatial or precautious way. So, these all are the things are there. Then materials and pharmaceutical products should be handled and distributed according to the GMP as defined in this document that we have already discussed. Then materials and pharmaceutical products should be handled and stored in such a manner to prevent the contamination, mix-ups and cross contamination. So, mix-ups is the actually accidentally mix-up of the different type of material, that is mix-up contamination, and cross contamination is mix-up of the starting material or intermediates with the another starting materials or intermediate products or the finished product. This is actually the cross contamination. So, all these kind of material handling should be performed in such a way to avoid any risk of contamination. Then the materials and pharmaceutical products should be stored in conditions which assure that their quality is maintained and the stock should be appropriately rotated. The first expired, first out FIFO principle should be followed. So, here you can see what is this FIFO principle, that means the first expired product and that should goes first outside. Suppose we are having two products, the first product is expiring soon, that means we have to use that product first. That does not mean that we will start using the product which is just arrived in the warehouse. So, the first expired and the first out, that is FIFO principle, should be followed in the good warehousing practices to avoid the risk of accumulation of these older batches. Then rejected material and pharmaceutical products should be identified and controlled under a quarantine system designed to prevent their use until a final decision taken on their fate. Narcotic drugs should be stored in compliance with international conventions and national laws and regulations on narcotics. As you can easily understand, the storage of the narcotic drugs is also depends on the different types of national legislations. As in the case of our country, the Narcotic and Psychotropic Substances Act is there. So, we have to ensure the non-violation of the recommendation that is given in these acts also. So, these narcotic drugs or psychotropic substances, these all drugs should be stored in compliance with the international convention as well. And so, there are few national laws and regulations on the narcotics. There may be a local legislation, there may be a national legislation, or there may be a international legislations. Another thing, the broken or damaged item should be withdrawn from the usable stock and that should be separated out. So, you can easily understand why it is so. Whatever be the broken and damaged items is there, that should be withdrawn from the usable stocks as far as possible. Then storage areas should provide the adequate lighting to enable all operation to be carried out accurately and safely. Now, the next thing is about the storage conditions. The storage conditions for pharmaceutical products and materials should be in compliance with the labeling, which is based on results of stability testing. The storage conditions are actually established on the basis of stability testing of any pharmaceutical product or drug substances. So, while performing the stability testing, we can establish whatever be the type of storage condition that are required for the storage of pharmaceutical product. So, on the basis of these results of stability studies, the storage conditions are recommended, and these storage conditions should be maintained in any warehouse, so that there should not be any accidental damage or the degradation of any pharmaceutical product before its shelf life. Now, the storage area should be clean and dry and maintained within acceptable temperature limits, and where special storage conditions are required on the label, for example, temperature or relative humidity, these should be provided, checked, monitored as well as recorded. Now, the next thing is the monitoring of storage conditions. The recommended temperature monitoring data should be available for review, and the equipment used for monitoring should be checked at suitable predetermined intervals, and the results of such checks should be recorded and retained. All monitoring records should be kept for at least the shelf life of the stored material or product plus 1 year, or as required by the national legislation. The temperature mapping should show uniformity of the temperature across the whole storage facility. Now, it is recommended that the temperature monitor should be located in the area that are most likely to show the deviations or fluctuations. So, if we are keeping the temperature in a controlled manner in those areas which may show the fluctuations, that means the whole premises is in the temperature of the whole premises or whole warehouse is within specified limit. Now, equipment used for monitoring should also be calibrated at defined intervals. Now, the storage requirement, documentation, written instruction and records. Written instruction and records should be available which document all the activities in the storage areas, including the handling of expired stocks. Permanent information, written or electronic, should exist for each storage material or product, indicating recommendation storage conditions, any precaution to be observed or retest dates. Pharmacopoeia requirements and current national regulations concerning labels and containers should be respected at all times. Records should be kept for each delivery. Where national regulations prescribe that record must be retained for a certain period, these must be observed and this should be followed properly. Otherwise, such record should be retained for a period equal to the shelf life of the incoming material or products, where applicable, plus 1 year. Now, the labeling and labeling of containers. All containers should be clearly labeled with at least the name of the material, the batch number, the expiry date or retest date, the specified storage conditions, and the reference to the pharmacopoeia wherever it is applicable. The receipt of incoming material and pharmaceutical product. On receipt, each incoming delivery should be checked against the relevant purchase order and each container physically verified. For example, by the label description, batch number, type of material or pharmaceutical product and its quantity. The consignment should be examined for uniformity of the container, and if necessary, it should be subdivided according to the supplier's batch number should be delivered comprising more than one batch. Each container should be carefully inspected for possible contamination, tampering and damage, and any suspect containers, or if necessary the entire delivery should be quarantined for further investigation. Each container should be carefully inspected for possible contamination, tampering and damage, and any suspect containers, or if necessary the entire delivery should be quarantined for further investigation. When required, samples should be taken only by appropriate trained and qualified personnel and in strict accordance and written sampling instructions. Following samplings, the goods should be subject to quarantine. The material and pharmaceutical products should remain in quarantine until an authorized release or rejection is obtained. Rejected material should not be used and stored separately. Stock rotation and control. Periodic stock reconciliation should be performed by comparing the actual and recorded stocks. All significant stock discrepancies should be investigated and checked against inadvertent mix-ups or incorrect issue. Damaged containers should not be issued unless the quality of the material has been shown to be unaffected. Where possible, this should be brought into the attention of the personnel responsible for quality control. Any action taken should be documented. Control of obsolete and outdated material and pharmaceutical products. All stocks should be checked regularly for obsolete and outdated material for pharmaceutical products. All due precautions should be observed to prevent the issue of outdated material and pharmaceutical products. And regarding return goods, all return goods should be placed in quarantine and returned to the sealable stocks only after has been approved by the nominated responsible persons. And these all are the references. So, these all are the good warehousing practices. Hope you all have liked this video. Thank you, friends.